What's up, guys? Barry Game here, back with some more Idle Heroes, and today we're actually on the live stream and we have our iOS setup completely redone, and Jonas is going to be our first iOS account tune-up in legit like a year? Maybe even more, since the last time we had our full iOS setup going. You can tell it's an iOS setup because if you look at everything on the screen, everything has more of a reddish tint to it. So if you're ever wondering if it's an Android account or an iOS account whenever you're watching one of our videos, you can tell by the color, especially these like the trees in the background. I went to point to it with my mouse, but I can't. In game, it's like an orange, like a bright orange. On here, it's like a reddish orange. That's how you know how it is. So I got to get used to this. Oh, I got to get into shape again. Account tune-ups, man. It's been a long time. But if you want an account tune-up, alpha memberships here on YouTube, that's how you get it. And you get access to extra membership channels on our Discord. So let's just jump in, take a look at the heroes. So not bad in a mid-game transitioning to like a little bit of a late game account. I feel like the early and mid-game is a lot different nowadays in compared to like end game. Like I used to be early game was until you got your first E5. Now I feel like it's a little bit longer than that. But we have the first two Transcendence heroes that are really good. The Drake only being an E3 is the first thing that jumps out at me as needs to get done immediately. Let's see. So we got a Punisher staff, that's cool. Actually, let's take a look at it in the grid mode here. So we have a Punisher staff, that's splendid. We have an AMB. We almost have an Antlers cane. The one thing I'm seeing a lack of is going to be energy artifacts and Rui scepters. Because I imagine, before we jump too deep in there, looks like you just got your second Transcendence hero. That's not bad. Looks like you've done some awakenings this week, so you're probably a low to mid spender. Granted, this pack was a little bit more. But yeah, definitely first things first, you got to get that Drake leveled up because that Drake is going to be the best synergy ever when you have a Sword Flash. Now, before I talk about the heroes too much, where am I going? So yeah, you've only gotten through Valiant. Honestly, with this type of team, once you get that Drake leveled up, make sure he gets some V4 imprinting. That's going to be really important because him and Sword Flash are going to be the mainstays to getting you to Defier and out of Valiant. That's going to get you more resources twice a week in Vortex. That's going to be really good. Now, I feel like your heroes are great. You have the good support heroes for your Sword Flashes home, which is pretty good. As far as level goes, it's pretty low, so that is something to work on. I'd also work on getting a Gloria built up just to have as an additional supporter. You could probably just straight up replace that Garuda, because I'd imagine you also have your Sea Lands pretty much taken care of. Yeah, it's just Dark you need help with and Abyss, but those are going to be interesting. I would first focus your resources in Drake, then get him to V4. While doing that, I would then try to build a Gloria up as a project hero, like just to have another tenant slot for your Sword Flash, because all your power is in your Sword Flash right here. You're even investing in her active ability. Looks like you could use a skin, so if you can come across Ace vouchers, that wouldn't be a bad plan. Everything else looking pretty solid. You got the stones leveled up to the right ones. I would also get another one that's like attack potentially, or attack holy damage. Keep in mind, I had a 1-year break, so I've gotten the resources from that time. Cool, that's awesome. I know a lot of people are coming back right now, so it's pretty good. Only 2 V4 heroes. Yeah, my guess is, Jonas, you probably spent some of your spheres that you got from your Cores of Transcendence on Crystals of Transcendence, which again, if we're going back to these account tune-ups, that's the biggest mistake you can make on your account, is if you use your spheres you get from your Cores of Transcendence on Crystals of Transcendence. Because let's be honest, a Transcendence hero without V4, is it really a Transcendence hero? Not really. You might have done that, yeah. So make sure you only use spheres as void imprinting material. You do not want to use them on crystals. You only want to use them on Stellar Shards. And that's why you see accounts like this that have multiple Transcendence heroes, but they don't have many V4 heroes. V4 is the best power upgrade you can give to your account. Now, there were two things that jumped at me right away. Again, like I said, finish the Drake, probably swap that Garuda over to a Gloria once you can get some copies somewhere. I don't know if you have many chests, not really. But I do think that is a good long-term plan. That way you finish out the household, because I would not go for either of the Transcendence heroes in this slot. I don't think Asmodel or Azrael are going to help you out. There's two decisions you have to make on this account. One is if you are going to chase artifacts. If you're going to chase for artifacts, I would consider eventually building a Starwing Jara. But of course, that's going to need multiple like Radiant Demon Bells, even glittery to Radiant Demon Bells. You're going to need a Rui Scepter. That's pretty difficult to come by since it looks like you don't really have any of those stocked up whatsoever right now. So what I would say is another option you can do, because you also have yourself an Eloise, you could consider making your next Transcendence hero a Fairy Queen Vesa. She is by far the most versatile, useful hero out of all the Transcendents. She doesn't really require specific setups to impact your team and your progress. I would go for that, because you already have that taken care of in Sealand. You're good there. The one thing of note is you don't have an Abyss Sealand done. However, you do have a lot of Delaciums being built up. That could be what you need to build next. How important is it to get your Sealand in Abyss done? Well, you swapped your Mirax to Queen to make it Transcendence. That's not too bad. What's up, Sentiex? How's it going? Yeah, I mean, building up a Delacium would be the easiest Sealand 20 for you to get. You have a Punisher staff, which could do decently. Honestly, an upgraded Kiss a Ghost would be the best way to do it with Delacium, like the least expensive way. You have a lot of projects, and I guess the difficult thing is figuring out which one to do first. I would say prioritizing your Sealand 20s before building that Gloria is probably pretty good. Look at the vent. You'll have the chest tomorrow. Let's see what you've done here. You've done a bunch of Prophet Orbs. You've got Solemn Kangala. You got the contract done. You got that going. You only have 11 points here. You'll have another chest here, which is good, which is going to be more resources. That's awesome. You know, the other option you could probably do for your next Transcendence hero, if you didn't want to go with Vesa, kind of a lot of people sleep on her because we don't talk about her too much, but with an account that already has a Sword Flash and a Queen, Mystic Fairy Freya is not that bad either, because of her ability to give her allies like dodge and things like that. It's not that bad. And on top of that, isn't Mystic Fairy Freya used in like the best Star Expedition team? Granted, you need a Vesa for that too. It's a tough call. Mystic Fairy Freya is like one of the best support heroes in the game that honestly gets slept on, and people don't talk about him much. So the big issue for you though is copies. You kind of just have to go the route of wherever you get the copies. I would not build her as a first Transcendence hero, no. What you've done here is pretty solid. The only reason why I said also building up a Vesa would be good is because you already have the Eloise that can push you to literally to like vanquish her and stuff, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, your other heroes are solid. I mean, Russell is probably the worst hero that you have in your lineup. Tix is pretty much useless in a lot of the game modes that you're going to be doing. Yeah. You're building up an Aspen, which the one thing I will say is I hate when people build little projects like this on the side that you want to keep. You just really shouldn't build a hero until you're ready to E5 them and get them going. Yeah, that's a pretty big rip. Guys in chat are saying a B- on a Tix. It feels bad. Really good in the early game, but again, falls off because Tix isn't useful in the newest game modes like Purgatory. He's not useful in Tower of Dreams. He's not useful in Sealand 21 plus, really. I mean, he can be kind of useful, but not really. But he is a tenant for Eloise, which is a good point too, if you're going to make your Eloise your main householder. But you're already invested strongly, I think, into the Sword Flash Queen setup. So Vesa Eloise setup probably isn't that big of a deal right now. Focus on the Drake. Do you have any other questions right now, Jonas? I do think, oh, you're going to be able to get the chest in Fantasy Factory. Okay, that makes sense. So you're going to have that one done as well. You're going to get the 260 over here probably. Or you're going to get the pay-to-win artifact is what you're talking about. I try not to. I changed my mind on that Aspen, and now he's just there. But should I use the pay-to-win chest from factory to make the crown radiant? That is a tough call. Finishing artifacts is a good idea, but you don't really have any Demon Bells and Ruby Scepters. Honestly, I'm going to put it out there and say probably Freya is going to be your next best hero to build on this account, just because the artifacts are so dire. I would spend your time, if you are going to max out that Splendid Crown next, I would probably sit on that on any chest you get in the future and try to save up Demon Bells and Ruby Scepters, because eventually you're going to really want a jar on your account. Demon Bells are just so useful in so many game modes. Granted, they're less useful now that speed is such a crazy thing for the enemy teams. It's hard to use Demon Bells and be faster than the enemies, but it's definitely something that you can get some help with. So let me know what you guys think. If you guys have any comments too, of course, type them in chat now. Leave a comment down below. Jonas, if you have any other questions, hit me up too, but I think we already have a couple good plans for the next few months on what you need to work towards. Definitely don't spend your resources like heroic scrolls and things like that outside of events that you're going to get pay-to-win artifact chests, because your account needs pay-to-win artifacts compared to others that we review. So hopefully that helped you out.